G'day wherever you are in the world. It's me, Geordie Pete, Reading on Hollywood Balls, of course with TFA. Now, it's the weekend's biggest news. It's the second coming of Ronaldo. Now, according to press reports, Ronaldo is set to make his return against Newcastle United and their stellar three at the back setup. Thanks, Cristiano. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's me, Geordie Pete, and before we get into today's show, welcome to our Facebook crowd, welcome to the YouTube audience, welcome to our TFA family as well. What a show we've got for you today. Before we meet our guests, let's have a look at what's coming up. We've got the big story, obviously. Ronaldo's back. We preview Arsenal against City, Rangers against Celtic. Going to be asking George about Harry Kane against Daniel Levy, who won there. Well, it's a bit obvious. Look at the flying star from West Ham. I get loads of grief from West Ham fans saying they never feature on my show. And then with Paul in the house, I'm going to ask him a little bit about League One and why it's imperative that Sunderland must get promoted this year. And, of course, it's predictions time as well, the one where everyone's joining in. George, I've got to tell you, we've got about 7 people on the predictions panel today. And a quick intro to the guests. My first guest is style guru. Never mind Pep Guardiola trying to pull off smooth vibes on the touchline. This man's got it going on. Flat caps, bright blazers, pork pie hats. It's former Exeter ledge, Paul Tisdale. Also in the house, the undoubted queen of club anthems. She shared her musical talent with the likes of George Michael, Style Council, David Morales, Frankie Knuckles. I could go on. Hollywood Balls, big welcome to London's finest, Alison Limerick. That's me done, George. You better take over.
Alison, welcome. Paul, great to have you guys.
Lovely to have. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm so excited. We've been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, we've been chatting about it. So I'm going to start off. Ladies first.
Oh, okay.
Always. Listen, it's good that the world is getting back to normal. Hospitality and, of course, your industry has suffered the most. There's a 90s revolution around the UK at the moment. So does that see you heading back out on the gig trail?
I have been, it's been lovely, actually. I've been doing shows almost every weekend since lockdown ended. I mean, I did actually go out to, because I'm in a band as well. So I'm in a band called the Brooklyn Funk Essential. So I worked in Europe before our lockdown kind of let up, because I'd had shows, postponed. And then I did a whole a tour in Europe. So that was great to get my, blow the cobwebs out. And then since I've come back, I've had something going on every weekend, which is lovely. And the people are so up for it. They are so ready. And those people that haven't been able to go away and do their Ibiza or Mallorca or Greece partying, they are coming out in their skimpies in English weather. Skimpies, rain coming down, shorts on, crop tops,
festival gear,
going, yeah, man, yeah. So it's been lovely. Yeah,
I've seen you play many times. I'll get onto that later on. But what an amazing career! But it all started off at dance school, didn't it?
I did. Yeah, I trained to dance. I was discovered at school. I went to a normal East End school, and my sports teacher, I was very sporty as well. My sports teacher said, "You can dance. You need to go and train." So I did. So started Saturday mornings, and that progressed, and then I actually went on to a dance school.
Okay.
London School of Contemporary Dance.
As you do.
As you do. And I thought I was going to be a dancer. That was my aim, my goal. And I didn't get into the company. I didn't get into London Contemporary Dance Theatre, which was my original aim. So then I was just a jobbing dancer looking for work. Yeah. And if anybody that has ever worked in that part of the dance industry, which is the unfunded small end, you just don't eat. You do not eat. You work from gig to gig, and the the pay is. I once did a week's work and came home with £6 in my pay packet. So
Wow.
you have to feed yourself other ways. I'd always sung. My mum sang, my dad sang, my brother sings. Everybody sang. So when I was asked, can you come and do this thing for us? Which was singing a Stevie Wonder song and a Ricky Lee Jones song, which was a weird combination. I said yes, and they paid me. I was like, "Whoa, okay." And that kind of opens your horizons then to going, well, I can sing. People actually think that what I have is okay, so you put yourself about and you join bands, which were unpaid, but we don't talk about that, and you start getting work for being a singer. So it was, I didn't have a direct kind of, I'm going to be a singer. It happened. What I was doing both at one point, got myself into a musical in the West End, and then boom. And then
Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle. There you go. Where in the East End did you go to school?
I was born in Stepney, so I went to school in Stepney. And I went to Harry Gosling's junior school to start with, and then I went to a school that used to be called what was it? What was it called? Tower Hamlet School for Girls, all girls school. Tower Hamlet School for Girls, which was a little rough, so much so that they changed the name of the school. And it became Mulberry School, and they changed the uniform. It was it's East End. It was the heart of East End. Yeah. It was rough. There was some naughtiness going on out the back of my school.
Sure. I can imagine. Sure. George knows everyone in London, by the way.
So Stepney, you're a West Ham fan?
No, we get onto that later. No, we're saving that. We're saving that.
Okay.
Don't jump the gun. Don't jump the gun.
Okay.
Listen, Paul, welcome to the show. Now, before we get into the football, let's discuss about you being the best dressed man on the touchline. I've been doing my research. Is that something to do with your friendship with the founder of Ted Baker?
Probably. I'm on a smart show today. Yeah. My best friend and mentor for probably 26, 27 years now. So it helps when your friend is a fashion designer. But it's about being at your best for business. I mean, I don't wear pork pies and cravats sat here today.
No.
It's a match day thing, you know. You
quite disappointed, actually.
So, Missed the trick there, yeah. I mean, I see match day's business. It's my armour, you know.
Yeah.
You are a football manager. You have to lead your team. You lead the environment, and how you behave plays a big part in that. And it was a strategic decision to make that step. I can remember the first time I wore a cravat. It was away at Burton Albion. I was being collected on the motorway with the team coach, and I was at some godforsaken services on the M5. And I've been speaking to Ted about wearing this cravat. It was the first time I was going to wear it. He'd send it to me in the post. You've got to wear this cravat, you know, stand out from the crowd and all that sort of thing. And I'm there at the services thinking, oh my God, I'm going to step onto the coach now with this cravat on. The players are going to look at me and go, oh my God. And I almost took it off and I put it back on. And then I thought, no, this is my armor. You know, you have to build a story and a purpose when you're leading a group. And that was my armor, you know, and I'd say to the players, you know, we might be a lesser team. We might be playing against a team with a bigger budget or quicker players or bigger players. But when we stand there and it's the kickoff and you look across at me on the touchline and I'm stood there in my tweed and my pork pie hat, we're 1-0 up already. So come on, ready for battle. And that's what it is. It's that story and that purpose.
Fantastic.
I like that. Yeah, I do. I like that a lot because I feel that when I see the touchline and you know, I know there's tracksuit managers and stuff, but I do like to see well dressed because it does exude a certain confidence. You started out as a player at Southampton. Dave Merrington, top Geordie, by the way, Dave.
Geordie, I saw him last week. Actually, he looks very well.
He was your mentor, wasn't he? What a great club to begin your career.
I mean, it's renowned for producing players, and it has a real USP as a development or developer of talent. So I was lucky to have started my career there. I spent 11 years in all at Southampton, and there were a number of people that I think you're influenced every day, and there's for good and for bad. And Dave was one of those coaches I came across. I certainly learned a lot from Dave, especially in the delivery of individual training drills and pushing players to their maximum, which Dave was extremely good for. And it gave me a really good grounding in professionalism. I mean, Alan Ball was also a very big influence because he believed in me and put me in the first team for the first time. And I have a lot of fond memories of those times. But Dave was great, yeah. And he certainly, but I certainly do things now that he did when I was a young player.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. George, the main man's back. Ronaldo's back in the Premier League. So my question to you, as a very knowledgeable follower of the game, is our George. Is he the missing piece of the jigsaw, and can he deliver the title to Old Trafford this season?
What I will say, it's fantastic news for the English Premier League, right? It's the best league in the world, and Ronaldo coming to the Premier League even now makes it even better. So it's fantastic for the Premier League. It's great for United. Is it enough for them to win it? It may be, because they need just that something extra special. I think it's a great buy, actually, and well done, United. I've got a terrible feeling Chelsea are going to win this year, and it's a horrible feeling, but
brilliant.
But
wear your heart on your sleeve. Say what you mean.
But I do think it's a great move for United. It's great for Ronaldo. It's great for the game, and it's the beautiful game. Once again, it's fabulous.
I must admit, when all the talk was City, George, I was still thinking. I knew that Fergie would be on the phone. Obviously, Rio Ferdinand called him. Rooney called him. So if he hadn't had his mind made up, I think it was the clubs. It was City and Juve that had done the deal, but no one had spoken to our Cristiano and seen what he thought. So it wasn't really a surprise to me that he went back home, as it were. But it's caused quite consternation.
Well, and I think the romance of it is wonderful, right? He goes back to his club that he played as a very young boy under Sir Alex, and I think romance is a big part of football, right? It's another reason why it's the beautiful game, and it's just fabulous. And the eyeballs on the Premier League are going to the billions every weekend. It's going to increase now. It's going to increase, right? So it's fabulous.
Massively. From great footwork to other great footwork. Back to the music. We mentioned the music. We mentioned your dancing, Alison. But what was the pivotal moment, do you think, that saw you swap dancing full time for your singing career?
The pivotal, full time.
Yeah, you just thought, right? I need to focus on one or the other.
It was basically because I got offered a deal. I got offered a recording deal because I went at the point that I got offered the deal to make Where Love Lives. I was full time on stage in the West End doing a musical, so I was you were still juggling. I was still juggling. I was in bands because my partner at the time had a band and I sang in that band. I'd already been recording. I mean, I'd recorded. I'd already done Shout to the Top by then, doing backing vocals with Style Council. I had been on 2 or 3 albums as guest vocalist. I'd done backing vocals for everybody. But the offering of the deal was the thing that sealed the deal, literally. And it was so unexpected because Latty Cronland, who wrote Where Love Lives, he wrote that for me because we'd worked together 2 years before. And he'd come back again and gone, I've got another song, I've written it for you, let's do this. And then he disappeared. He's Swedish. I just thought he'd gone back to Sweden. But no, he'd gone to Arista Records.
Okay.
And Chris Cook at Arista Records has gone, we want it out. We want it out now. It was the point at which house music, dance music was going to do that, was coming up out of the underground. It was going to be commercial. And they thought maybe this will be one of those that will help it rise. And so they pounced on me. I'd literally just signed a 12-month contract to be on stage. And then I get this phone call going, Chris Cook at Arista wants to see you. I was like, I thought it was a joke. I did. Put a message out now. They had to call me 3 times and go, it's not a joke. You have to have a meeting. And I'm like, okay. And I go in and they say, single now. We want it out now. Like, yeah.
Yesterday.
I'm working. I've just signed this. And they said, we'll make it work. You can do, what time does the show come down? You can do the promotion after the show. So I was expecting to spend a year doing 8 shows a week and then running to a club and singing and then coming back and getting up in the morning and doing a matinee.
Wow.
Fortunately, despite the fact that Aristotle said, want it out yesterday, it took them 12 months to do the paperwork.
Okay.
Who knew?
Sounds a bit like where I live. Welcome to Dubai.
And I literally did my first PA. I don't know. It must have been 3 weeks after my last show at Starlight. So my last show, and then
you were ready.
And then I was off and running. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
What a great story!
Fantastic. Speaking of clubs, Paul, I want to touch on. I would mention my nightclub experience, and it was listening to your absolute bangers, Alison. But I think we'll probably skip over my nightclubbing days; they're long gone. I just wanted to touch on Paul. I mean, after a spell with a few other clubs, your love affair really began with Exeter, didn't it? I mean, what a journey that was. I mean, the stats and the records that you've created throughout your time at Exeter are absolutely incredible, aren't they?
I'm not quite sure how I managed 12 years, to be honest. It just flew by.
Yeah.
In my interview in 2006, the chair lady at the time said, her only question to me was, Paul, if you get the job, will you move to Exeter? And I said, yep, next question. And I never moved. I never moved. I thought, hang on a second. If I move to Exeter from Bath and I didn't do very well, I'll be coming back to Bath. If I go there and do really well, I'll be coming back. So why move? Well, if I knew I was going to be there for 12 years, I probably would have done. But yeah, 12 years is a long time, and it's a club with a real sense of community and a real soul. Yeah. So what a club!
Yeah,
and I mean the records and the stuff that you knocked down. I mean, their first appearances in certain leagues that they hadn't been in for donkey's years. I mean, it must have just been an epic journey. And as you say, 12 years. I mean, funnily enough, George and I were talking on last week's show. We had Adrian Bevington on, who was a fantastic guest, and he was talking about how everyone wants their own staff as a gaffer now to go into the club. He said, but they can't, because they're bringing in so many backroom people, but they're not guaranteed to stay that long. Because the game has changed so much, and for you to have done 12 years at one club, I mean, it must be in the Guinness Book of Records, surely.
Well, I think when I left Exeter, there were about 75 people working at the training ground every day. And other than Steve Perryman, who was there before me, I think all of the 74 had arrived under my time there. So you build up a real affinity to the club, yes, but it's the people that keep you there. It's relationships are the real currency in all these great stories. The contracts, but they're just transactional. But the real relationships is what binds something together. And it's my relationship with Julian Tagg, the chairman, Mr. Exeter. And often behind a great story, there's someone in the background that just gives their life and soul to a project. And that was Julian. And then he stumbled across Steve Perryman, and then Steve stumbled across me. And the three of us just worked together, just intensely for 12 years. And we had the backing of a club that had a different type of ownership, a crystal clear purpose. They knew exactly what they wanted to be. So there's a real compass every day. You had a compass of what you were doing. They also knew what they weren't and what they didn't want to be. And it made for a real, just a wonderful 12 years of my life. I'm very proud of it.
And I know Steve Perryman, he has such a passion for Exeter, frankly, a love for Exeter. And I read a piece he wrote once, and he spoke about the community around the club. Yeah. And you can feel it was truly heartfelt. What was it like to work with Stevie? Sorry, I'm a Spurs fan. We call him Stevie Perryman.
We said, hang on, I'm just gonna give me 2 seconds.
No problem.
Oh, can't find it. No, he was a wonderful, wonderful friend. First and foremost, we shared an office together. We sort of brought together new school and old school together. Steve's a proper football person. We worked in, I think I probably know him better than his wife does, and vice versa. We shared the same office together for 12 years, and we perfectly balanced old and new school. And I still speak to him on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, he's a great man, Stevie. Great man.
George, you're going to have to step up because Kev's not here. Kev's off filming something. Won't tell me what it is, but he's out filming today. So if you're listening, Kev, get in the makeup chair, get sorted. George, I'll be coming to you in a second. I just wanted to go back to Alison and say, it's funny. I picked up on something you said. Dance music became commercial, very commercial. But you've got to say that, when you released your, and I'm speaking as a fan. But you look at what you released song wise, and they were bona fide classics. Where Love Lives. That was the real deal, wasn't it?
Well, you don't know what you're doing when you're doing it though, because what you're doing is somebody presents you with a song, you love it, you have a feeling for it when you're making it, but really it's just that bubble of creating that thing that you're doing right then. And then somebody might say, oh, that's really great. And with Where Love Lives, we were very fortunate that Frankie Knuckles and David Morales liked the song from the demo. This is prior to having a finished version. They liked the demo. So once we'd finished that, they wanted to remix it. So you already, because you have the Godfather of Soul in your camp, you have a step up on reaching a wider audience. And it took off in the clubs. It actually took off in the gay clubs first. And it took on a life of its own. But you don't set out to make an anthem. You don't set out to make a club banger. You produce the best thing that you can, and then it's the audiences. I will always be grateful from now until I drop dead and sing it the last time. Just how much they took it to their hearts, because I love it. I can go out and the piano riff on Where Love Lives plays.
I was going to say, what
goes up.
That's beautiful, it. It's the piano riff. When people could be at the bar, at whatever venue they're at, it could be you playing live. But if it comes on, those opening bars and that riff, everyone stops what they're doing.
It just gets to your heart, doesn't it? Right? Everybody stopped. Beautiful. Oh, I love it. That's just fantastic.
Speaking from the heart, George, there's some big games this weekend. None more so than straight after this show. Take your thoughts on Arsenal against City. City are at home, so it's City Arsenal. But City have had a disappointing week, really, when they've lost out on your own Harry Kane. Ronaldo's chosen the red side of Manchester. Pep may or may not be wrapping it in at the end of next season. So, do you think that Arsenal could be on the end of a bit of an angry session from City?
Well, listen, Arsenal have taken a lot of flack, which I don't mind being a Spurs supporter, but you've got to be realistic. Against Chelsea, Arsenal had 9 players out, right? And not just 9 squad members. Most of those were first team players. So, people got to come to their senses. I do think City will win, but I think it'll be closer than people imagine.
Okay.
I think Arsenal got something to prove. They feel that they got something to prove. I think they'll be more aggressive. I do think City will win. I do think Pep Guardiola was a bit out of order this week again with Harry Kane. It's as if they feel entitled. They can buy anybody they want, and that's how it comes over, I think. But it'll be a good game. Arsenal, I think, will give a good account of themselves, and I give it as a narrow victory for City. But it'll be tight. It'll be a good game.
Just coming back to Harry, I had that listed down, but we may as well get into it now. Just want to play devil's advocate. He played his own part in that, Harry Kane. It's quite clear. In my opinion, he wanted to be away, and I think it was Daniel Levy who's a master at digging his heels in. City didn't cover themselves in glory, but I don't think Harry did either.
No, I think you're right. Harry wanted to be away. I understand it. He wants to win things. At Spurs, you don't win things, right? So I can understand it. I think Harry's entourage let him down. His brother is his agent, has taken a lot of flack.
His brother's his agent, right? Yeah.
That's right. He's taking a lot of flack. I think Harry would do things differently. It's interesting, the ITKs, the in the knows that you think, people who are close to the club. Some people say Harry could have made it work if they approach it differently. I would also suggest City, if they spent £100 million on Grealish, by all accounts, the offer they made for Harry Redknapp was 75 plus 25 add-ons. So if you really want somebody, one of the best strikers in the world, you just got to put, and they got a 3 years left on their contract. You just got to put the money on the table, right? You got to say, here's 150, I want him. If you don't, that's fine. So
I can see the frustration. I can see the frustration if he's got a value, hasn't he?
Yeah, there are many dynamics going on. To Spurs, he's worth more than £100 million easily. To Spurs, his goals, his assists, his leadership, the love of the fans. So there are many dynamics going on. I think Daniel Levy has actually been very lucky because he's played this very well, and it's been a significant distraction for his own poor performance, taking the eye off the ball for the lack of investment on the pitch. So it's you could talk about it forever, but it's that's what makes the beautiful game, right? It's taking a lot of hours on, right?
Wasn't very beautiful at the Etihad this week. Anyway, listen, I just got to say a quick shout out to Victor Johnson, who's in the house. Victor, great to hear from you. Not sure. Last time I heard you were in Saudi. Let us know where you are and where you're watching from. Hope you are well. Paul, I wanted to touch on, Exeter. That's such a long time. It wasn't all roses at Bristol Rovers, though. Can I ask you, was that sort of down to? Was there differences of opinion in the camp? Was it a difficult gig?
I don't know. I mean, it just came and went in a flash. I don't really know.
After 12 years, it would, wouldn't it?
I mean, I was there 11 weeks. Height of COVID, so we had no changing room, no office. We were already a struggling team. I managed to sign one player, and I'm gone.
Wow.
I still don't know. I mean, I don't think there was a particular environment of stability and productivity when I went, but I was pretty sure I could turn it into something. But 11 weeks is not much of time to do that. But anyway,
it's ridiculous.
I still don't know. I mean, it's bizarre, but there we are. That's football. So it was a real shame because it's the club that I started out as a 11-year-old. So
boyhood club, wasn't it?
Yeah, I really wanted to make it work, but 11 weeks, crikey. I mean, I still don't.
Ridiculous.
I'm not even sure it really happened. It just
it was all a dream, like Scooby-Doo.
It was all a dream. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There we are. Moving on. Yeah.
Yeah, Alison. But a lot of our football-based guests, we ask them on the show who, do they have like someone that they model themselves on, or who's been an influence through their career? It's obviously the same for you. Which sort of musicians and people or bands that have touched you on your journey?
Every musician I've ever worked with has taught me something.
Right.
So apart from the singers and artists that you respect because of their body of work, the people that you work with teach you way more because it's kind of hands-on. You watch people. Well, sometimes you watch people and you go, "I'm never doing that." But the dedication for musicians who are real musicians who don't just want to be famous or don't want to make lots of money, because you don't necessarily make lots of money. But those who just go from year to year and just reinvent themselves. And so those kind of people, and they're usually they're not the big stars. They're the musician, the Tony Remy's of the world, who are brilliant players, a guitar player, who just was like, I want to make my music, and just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. But the outside influences from youth, it would have been all the jazz singers, Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday, and the kind of those amazing performers who your parents listen to, and you go at first you think no, and then as you get older you go, my God, that facility is amazing. Ella Fitzgerald is the most amazing singer, but also Rufus and Shaka Khan and Duke Ellington and the big. I'm a big jazzer. I used to go out with a jazz musician, so I got to Dexter Gordon, instrumentalists as well, and using I was never afraid to use my voice like an instrument because I had listened to so much music that wasn't necessarily vocal. So I've had you name it. I'm a sponge. I used to be a sponge. I'm a bit old now for a sponge. Getting a bit old, like when that sponge in the corner that gets a bit creaky. But I tried never to say no to anything. And I've done classical stuff. I've done rock. I once did backing vocals for a rock band, yes, and they made me put on a little short skirt and a low cut thing. I was like, no, that's not me.
Amazing.
But yeah, you have to push yourself and you have to stay open. But my favourite singer is Ella Fitzgerald.
Fantastic. Paul, with a bit of time off, feet up and what have you, you must be watching a bit of football now. I wanted to ask you. I would say justified. I get grief off West Ham fans saying that they don't feature enough on Hollywood Balls. So where do we start? I mean, wow, what a start they've had, in particular for Antonio. But I know it's only 2 games, and they had a great end to last season. Well, there or thereabouts. They must be so happy with Moyes and what he's done there.
Yeah, it's no surprise, to be honest. He's a proper manager. He knows what he's good at, and knows what he wants. I mean, I often say there's lots of good managers, lots of good clubs, but getting the fit together between the two is really what you're after. And there's the fit now, and the expectation of West Ham United, together with David knowing exactly what he does and how he does it. I'm not surprised. He amplifies the strengths of his team. He doesn't get involved with the stuff that could turn into weaknesses, and they are performing. And that is a manager that knows his craft. He knows his craft. He won't fit every club, but he fits this club, and they're doing really, really well. I'm very, very pleased for him, and Stuart Pearce is there at the moment, who I spoke to last week, and they're doing really, really well. I'm really pleased for them.
Excellent.
And they've got, the thing is, they've got such great rhythm that every player knows his role.
Pace.
The substitution. They have everything, and again, I'm going to get my old soapbox. How David Moyes did not get Manager of the Year last year is beyond me, right? But the craft of this is less is more. As a coach, as a manager, you are trying to put your team on the pitch with as little information as possible. They have the information, drip, drip, drip during the week, which they don't even know about. And there may be a few bits of strategy and tactics that is spoken about, but actually the real alchemy is when you can create an environment where the players know their jobs, and you're just putting a small focus in each game. And for that, you need rhythm. Good word. You need rhythm. You need the right pattern, consistency. The players need to be optimized, and that's what David does, because he knows how to get the best out of his players playing that way. It's a pleasure to watch them. I have some West Ham friends. They're delighted. I'm delighted for West Ham. It's great. It's great. It's great for football. No, it's good for football.
Second half, blew us away.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, good
Outstanding.
team. Good for them.
The next 2 questions are probably the most 2 important questions of the day. Paul, I'm going to stick with you for the first one. Randall Tarley, Game of Thrones, because I'm a massive Game of Thrones fan. Did you go on location? Because he's your uncle, isn't he?
Uncle James, Uncle James. I don't know what Uncle. I don't know
where I get these facts from.
Well, you're spot on, Uncle James. I mean, he's an entertaining character, is my Uncle James. I'm not sure how my Auntie Kay puts up with him, but he's a real character. I mean, he often has played all the cads and villains for a long time. So he's a fascinating chap. I mean, I used to go and stay with him when I was younger. I can remember actually taking my best friend from school, Andrew, when we were 18. Andrew was just joining RADA to learn his trade as an actor, and I took him to meet Uncle James. And Uncle James said, "My boy, acting is not a job for you." Actually, Andy went on to become a very successful actor, and been on Walking Dead for the last 10 years, Andrew Lincoln. So Uncle James possibly wasn't the best judge of talent, but he certainly was entertaining. And I can actually remember when I was about 18, 19, I used to follow him around, and I went into Soho one day. He was doing he used to do a lot of voiceovers, And I was a professional footballer. I was 18, 19 years old. I had shorts on and probably long hair. And he made me walk 10 yards behind him. He said, people are going to think I've turned. Walk behind me, boy. I followed him around Soho 10 yards behind him. So
I know people like that, mate. I know people like that.
I know. So no, I didn't go on set. I think they filmed all sorts of different places. I mean, they filmed in Malta, where I'm from. So I should have.
Croatia as well was a
some beautiful places. But I mean, I see James every now and then. He lives in Camden, and I pop and see him in Auntie Kay. But
played a great part in it. Okay, now we're gonna get after this. We're gonna get into the predictions, which is probably it's been going so well, and the predictions just makes everything. It turns it upside down. But anyway, Alison, it's time for the big reveal. Being a London girl, you've got to have a favourite team. And I've been guessing all week, and I got it wrong. So go on. Who's your team?
I'm a Spurs supporter.
There you go, George.
I was
love at first sight. I do it. Love at first sight.
It was all my brother's fault. I mean, when you're 8 and you've got an older brother, and he goes, "This is our team," and you go, "Okay," but also the
brilliant. There you go.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But also they wore my colours because they were blue and white at the time. So blue and white, not that you can say today, but I couldn't. Other teams can't be doing red, can't be doing whatever that West Ham colours were. No. So yeah, they were my team. And it hasn't changed all these years later. I don't always know what they're doing, and it's sometimes when I do pay attention, I go, and so then I go, I'm not going to watch. I'm just not going to watch because it's just going to make me cry. So
I know that feeling. I know that feeling, Alison. Oh, darling, Jesus help.
Jean's taking the words out of my mouth. She says, "Finally, George is a supporter on the show because I always fit him up with Arsenal fans. So it's probably a good idea. Super Kev isn't in the house today. Brilliant. So
can we just invite Alison every week?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sure she'd love that. When she's live from the gig. Listen, it's predictions time, and it's. I've had such a huge response to this week. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our viewers who were involved. So we've got Darren DeSendry from last week, Adrian Bevington, our guest last week, enjoyed it so much. He's in the mix. Andy Briggs from Australia, Tony, who's in the Philippines, Lincoln James Davis is with us, and Danny Kwang, the inventor of the world's hottest sauce here in Dubai. Fantastic. DK sauce, get yourself some. There you go. There's your plug. Last week's winner was it was a tie, George, because it was Darren DeSendry and Adrian Bevington who came in with our second highest score. No one's beat Barry yet from the Dub Pistols, much to Kev's chagrin. So it's in to this week we go, and we've got the 5 top games as per Geordie Pete. Ladies first as always. Have you got a score?
I don't know anything about football, right? You know that, right? Okay.
It means you'll win. It means you'll win. We had an amazing comedian on, Alex Haddo, about 2 months back, and she won. She's like, I know nothing about football. I just know David Beckham, and she won hands down.
Not only she won, it was hands down. It was by a country. It was by country miles. She won. Yeah,
it was.
Okay,
so,
I'm
City Arsenal.
City Arsenal. City Arsenal. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
I've
just predict the score.
Score. I'm going to go, even though it's against the trend, I'm going to go Arsenal 1, Man City 0.
Okay. All Spurs fans disown Alison Limerick. Do not complain to Hollywood Balls. George, what have you got for us?
2-1 to City.
2-1 to City. Paul?
2-0 City.
2-0 City. I've got 2-0 to City. Darren's got 4-0. Adrian Bevington's got 2-1 to City. Andy Briggs, it's later in Australia, so he must have had a couple of Fosters, I reckon. 5-0 to City. Tony Manuel's gone 2-0 City. Lincoln's gone 2s each, score draw. Danny Kwang's gone 3-0 to City. Okay, Liverpool, Chelsea, Alison. Cracking game, that one.
1-1.
Okay,
Drawing.
1-1.
Yeah.
1-1. George?
I've got the same. 1-1, Liverpool, Chelsea.
Paul?
1-0 Chelsea.
Okay, there's a pattern developing here. I've got 1-1. Darren's got 1-1. Adrian Bevington's got 1-1. Andy Briggs has got 1-1. Tony Manuel's got 1-1. Lincoln has gone Chelsea 1-0. And Danny Kwang's gone 2-0 to 1-0, sorry, to Liverpool. Okay, West Ham, who we were just talking about. West Ham against Crystal Palace. Good old London affair there, Alison.
I'm going to go West Ham 2, CP 1.
Okay. George, good London derby in store.
3-0 to West Ham.
3-0. Okay. A good whip in there then, Paul.
I will go 2-0 West Ham.
I've got 3-1. Darren's got 3-1. Adrian's got 2-1 to West Ham. Andy Briggs has got a 1-1 score draw. Tony's got 3-0 West Ham. Lincoln's got 1-0 to the Hammers. And Danny Kwang's got 2-0 to the Hammers as well. Okay. Wolves, Man United. Ronaldo won't be playing in this one. It's come too soon for him, Alison, but he's going to save himself to play against the might of my team, Newcastle. God help us. So Wolves, Man United.
I go Wolves 1, Man U 2.
Okay, good shout. George?
I've got Wolves 1, Man U 2.
Yep, okay. Mr. Tisdale, what you got for us?
0-3.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Good whipping. I've got 2-0. Darren's gone 3-1 to Man United. Adrian's gone 2-1 to Man United. Andy's taken a 0-0 draw. Likes a draw, this lad, down in Australia. Tony's gone 2-0 to Man United. Lincoln, 3-2. Goals galore, Man United's way. And Danny Kwang has gone 2-0 to Man United. Okay, last one for this weekend, and it's north of the border. It's Rangers against Celtic. Always a quiet affair.
I'm going to go to 2-2. I'm just going to think there's going to be goals flying.
Could be.
The goals and red cards. George.
Red cards or goals.
I've struggled with this one an awful lot. You know, Celtic have started better than people thought. Rangers not quite so good. It's close. I'm actually going to go for Rangers 2-1.
Okay, Paul, what you got?
I'm going to go Celtic 2, Rangers 1. So Rangers 1, Celtic 2. Yeah,
I fancy that. And just to say, the only other time I've seen Celtic play, because I saw my good friend Alan Thompson play for them. What an atmosphere! And I asked Tomo when he was on the show about Celtic Rangers, I said, can you tell us about that goal, the great goal you scored against Rangers? And his reply was, which one? So good luck to all concerned there. I've gone 1-1 in keeping with keeping everything nice and friendly. Darren's gone 2-0 to Rangers. Adrian's gone 2-2. Andy Briggs has gone 4-4. He's definitely got the Fosters out. Tony Newell's gone 0-0. Lincoln's gone 0-0. And Danny Kwang's gone 0-0. So there you go.
How do you predict 4-4? That's great.
Yeah, he's obviously having a great day. He said it's going to be long.
He's got a tinny. He's got a tinny and a chiller.
I think he's got a couple going. Listen, it's been absolutely fantastic. Alison, what's on the agenda for you next? I mean, are you gigging? Have you got anything this week? Are you out and about?
Yeah. I'm doing tomorrow. I'm doing Happy Days Festival.
Okay.
So that's just a really easy one. Well, easy, but so I'm doing my songs, but with me and guitar, because it's an acoustic set. Because we were supposed to have an orchestra, and of course with COVID we couldn't have the orchestra. And they said, we need you to do a 20-minute set. What can you do? I'm like, well, so me and the guitar. I'm not playing the guitar. I tell you that.
And whereabouts is that festival taking place?
Ember Court.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, come down. Well, don't come down, because I think it's all you have to advance and test and.
Yeah, you got to have more paperwork than one of George's.
Mate, traveling these days.
Oh.
Crazy.
Oh, no, I can imagine. Paul, you'll be tending to the garden, watching football, updating that incredible CV of yours. What have you got planned?
I will be popping down to our clinic at the core clinic, which we're building at the moment. So that's going very well. So I'll be popping into Bath this afternoon and keeping an eye on the football scores. Yeah, absolutely.
And that clinic, Paul. Just to pick you one. Is that the one that sort of treats and looks at arthritis?
Yeah, it's a cutting edge physiotherapy clinic. Wow. It combines physio with MRT, which is magnetic resonance therapy. It's a bit like MRI scanning, to be honest, but it uses magnetic. It's far too scientific for me, but I know it works. So it uses magnetic fields to reduce pain and inflammation, to treat injuries and arthritis. It's been a year now. We launched on September the 1st last year through 2 lockdowns. I mean, we've all got our COVID lockdown story, and that was mine. How I ended up with a arthritis clinic a year ago, I don't know, but it's going really well. Yeah, we're looking to open a few more clinics now because it's
fantastic. Brilliant stuff. George, what have you got on? I mean, will you get any football watched? Or
hopefully meetings? Some football. I've got some personal stuff to take care of. Yep. I've got to do a meeting this afternoon that's scheduled for the football app and the football coin. Right. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, a lot going on. Listen, if I could ask a favour, Paul,
here we go.
When you speak to Stevie, just tell him we all love him. Right, all Spurs fans.
Not another one. I mean, he just gets that all day long.
I know he does. I know he does. I think
I passed more messages on as an Exeter manager from Spurs people but it was fascinating. You know, sharing an office, we'd get people turn up, knock on the door, Pat Jennings, Glenn Hoddle, Jimmy Greaves, and I'm in the office. I'm in the office at Exeter, and Steve sat there with Jimmy Greaves. Or I mean, it was just a bit. I mean,
listen,
they still all call him Skip. All of them.
Of course.
Birkinshaw turns up 1 minute. It's just, it was a very, very strange sort of scenario.
Oh, I love it. Listen, my mum is 91, still a Spurs season ticket holder. She's not doing so well. I managed to tell her that I'm going to speak to someone who knows Steve Perryman very well. But that made her smile. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. That's great.
All our wishes for a speedy recovery, George. And
thank you, man.
Alison, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on board.
It's been fun. I love it.
We'd love to get you both back on, Paul, as well, toward midway through the season. Come back on as guests. We can all catch up. And I will keep you posted on your scores of how you got on. It's the biggest win of the weekend. You know, forget Ronaldo at Man United, forget Man City. It's all about the Hollywood Balls predictions. That's what everyone wants.
The adrenaline's back, Pete. The adrenaline's back in my system now.
There you go. Exactly. Listen, it's been an absolute blast. I've loved every second of it. Thanks to you all. All that remains is for me to say, have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, no matter who you support. And we'll see you next week on Hollywood Balls. Geordie Pete Redding, over and out.